Welcome to the ConnecTALKS Seoul Through the Luxury Lens. As the industry starts to recover and resurge following the pandemic, we're witnessing the transformation of luxury travel and indeed the definition of luxury once again. Luxury travel is perhaps the most immediate sector to bounce back and is the sector that is vital to Seoul's tourism recovery. The luxury traveler proved not only to remain strong during a global pandemic, but has become stronger since. So, during this interactive session, we'll be joined by senior travel and leisure analyst Mike Gallinari of Mintel, who will present the emerging demographics in the luxury space, as well as how these travelers view the trends in wellness and sustainable travel. Mike will also share hot-off-the-press insights about the impressions that both new luxury travelers and traditional high-net-worth American travelers have towards traveling to Asia and South Korea specifically. Then, it's over to you, our leaders in luxury travel, to discuss how trade partnerships can support the selling and development of Seoul's luxury product offering. So, before we turn to our interactive discussions, it's my pleasure to welcome Mike Gallinari.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Connections, for inviting me here so I can help all of you kind of navigate the sometimes uncertain future of travel. So a little bit of what I do is I do market research for the American consumer, and I cover a whole host of travel subjects, and we do a regular luxury travel report. And in there, we get the attitudes and behaviors and desires of the American consumer as it pertains, in this case, to luxury travel. And I was really excited the last couple of times to write this report in each iteration because I found a really interesting trend emerging. For this report, we do separate our kind of population into affluent and high net worth individuals, as well as the general population, or Gen Pop, as you'll see in this presentation. And we asked them their experiences about luxury travel, which we defined as any sort of vacation with any luxury component, on up from a fully catered sort of luxury experience to a trip where it's very sort of everyday, except maybe one aspect has been upgraded to a luxury aspect. So a first-class flight, a luxury hotel room, or the like. And we found that in 2021, while the affluent and high net worth population stayed relatively steady in their luxury travels over the past 5 years, we saw a large uptick in the general population of one of these trips with a luxury component involved. This is something that we had seen kind of inching up over the last couple of years, but in the last 5 years, this is one of the largest upticks that we had seen, partly due to a glut of savings among American consumers due to government help during the coronavirus pandemic, and partly due to travel providers unbundling their luxury options. So offering, say, a first-class flight at sort of a premium economy rate that doesn't come with all of the bells and whistles of a typical first-class flight, but does get you the seat in the section. Demographically, we saw some interesting differences between the general population and affluent high net worth travelers. Specifically, they're a little more likely to be female among the general population, but 73% are under the age of 55. So that alone tells us, as an indicator, that this is something that will carry into the future as younger travelers are turning more of an eye to luxury travel. They're also more likely to live in the cities as opposed to the sort of established luxury travelers that we have seen who are more evenly split between cities and suburban areas. This is some of the newer data that we have about luxury intent, and we were interested in getting this because of the current situation with inflation, especially in the United States. We have had record inflation, I think not seen in the last 40 years or so. So despite this, over half of US consumers of the Gen Pop intend to have a luxury experience, a luxury travel experience in the next year. Half are under the age of 40, and 54% make less than 6 figures. So there is still a real determination, and it's a real goal to engage in luxury travel, even as travel has really stormed back in the United States. As far as defining luxury, it's always something that we have found whenever we write any kind of luxury report can be a shifting definition. Here, we find in general, the general population and the high net worth population have very similar ideas of what quote unquote luxury is. But one of the big differentiating factors is that the Gen Pop looks to be more privacy oriented, while the affluent high net worth really want something tailored to them. This data was taken in 2021, so I think as attitudes around the pandemic sort of sharpened, privacy might be a bit more among the affluent high net worth, but we do feel this is still one of the differentiating factors as to how these consumers define luxury. More specifically to what a luxury vacation needs, again, we find some really similar wants until we get down to the sort of bottom of the top 5, whereas spa experiences are on the list for the Gen Pop, and affluent high net worth prefer advanced access, so either private access to, say, a museum or a private tour that may be off the time of regular tours. It really feeds into this idea of customization and unique to the traveler, whereas the Gen Pop we find can be sort of conceptualized more as improving on the things that they can do at home. They can eat out at home, they can shop, they can have spa experiences, but they want a really memorable luxury experience when they do these things on a luxury vacation. Newer data here as well. We're still finding that relaxation is a top motivation for luxury travelers in general. So that sort of can be an explainer as to the positioning of spa experiences among the Gen Pop. We're also seeing slow travel as a re-emerging trend, whereas before the pandemic we were approaching that, but we still saw a lot of people wanted to hit as many sites as they can. Try to hit, maybe if they came to South Korea, maybe they would try to hit 3 cities, or start at Seoul and try to get to Jeju at some point. So now they want a more deeper explorative trip within one destination. So now if they come to Seoul, they want to stay in and around Seoul, and they don't want to go to Busan or any kind of surrounding area. As far as reaching this sort of general population, especially the young affluents, social media is, of course, a growing area by which to reach them. And specifically, we're finding that Instagram is still strong, being a very visual platform, but Facebook is giving way to TikTok as both in social media consumption in general, as well as travel inspiration and travel information. One example of a TikToker that I find interesting is at Lux Experiences. She is a luxury travel agent, and she's also millennial aged. So she really knows how to speak to this sort of millennial, late 20s through 30s audience that is interested in luxury travel, interested in exotic destinations, interested in places that may not be on the radar of typical travelers or typical luxury travelers. And she kind of lifts the veil behind some of the properties, some of the areas, but also the industry in general as a travel agent. We have some new data that is focused on sustainability, and we're finding that among consumers in general, that when they travel, they do want to sort of reward providers that engage in more environmentally sustainable practices. We also find that this is especially true of international travelers, so people who want to go on an international trip. They are willing to pay more for a provider all else being equal, that engages in more sustainable practices. The trick here is they don't always know what sustainability means or how to do it. So this is a role as a value add that luxury providers can have in instructing what makes their service or product more sustainable and what it means in the broader picture and what going with them does for the environment and how it works in a positive way. In the short term, we are seeing some effects of inflation in the US. They are forcing cutbacks. However, they're still willing to make sacrifices in other areas in order to make travel happen. I include this because it's another indicator of just how seriously the American consumer takes travel, and especially as foreign destinations become more available and more opened up, they're going to be considering them more and more, especially as inflation sort of recovers along with the economy. So it's something to keep in mind in the coming year or so as the economic terms improve and more of these general population luxury intent travelers become actually able to engage in luxury travel. So I would like to, get the iPad working. So now I'd like to kind of turn it over to you. I actually have a really unique opportunity to get immediate market research done. I know we have a lot of industry professionals in the room, so I'm interested in gathering some of your thoughts about travel to Asia and Korea specifically. These questions are for buyers, and what I like to do is to see your impressions and how they match up with the impressions of both general population and high net worth travelers that are interested in international travel. So we have, I believe, the QR codes. So please scan the QR code. If you're having any issues, please let one of the Connection staff know, and they'll be able to assist you. But for the first question, what is your perception of South Korea as a travel destination? And as you enter your answers, please tick 5 of the 12. So please give us your top 5 perceptions of South Korea.
Thanks, Mike. So just to say again, this is just for the buyers because we need to see the sort of sentiment of international inbound into Seoul. So we'll give you a moment to scan, and once you've scanned, you'll be able to answer this first question. Thanks, Mike.
All right, so interesting culture seems to take the top spot, as well as, let's see, cities, good for luxury travel, safe, and has natural beauty. I would agree definitely with all of those. Let's see how it compares with the findings that we have at Mintel. So interesting culture. Great job, everyone. You've hit it. But we do see some differences beyond that. I think immediately interesting among the high net worth is, among the top spot is difficulty to navigate. This is my first time in Seoul, and it's not nearly as difficult as I would have expected to navigate. So this is absolutely an area that buyers and suppliers that are serving Korea can sort of dispel some of the myths about it. And another one that's important to notice here is that number 5 is none of these. So among the general population, there is a real sort of missing area of knowledge about South Korea and what it has to offer and everything it does have to offer. Some other notes that we have from our data is that the affluent are more likely to consider it safe by a large margin. So this is another area in which South Korea can sort of shore up its bona fides. And neither group actually views South Korea as being good for luxury travel. That it was coming in here, that was sort of an alarming statistic. So luckily, we can also look at this as an opportunity, and that there's a lot of space to define South Korea as a luxury destination and and your role in that. So why don't we go to our second of third questions? And buyers, what would make you more likely to travel to South Korea? And please tick any applicable answer. All right, wow, okay. So this makes sense given our audience. The availability of luxury accommodations is indeed a draw, as well as city attractions, cultural sites, fine dining. It's an incredible food city, so I understand why everyone would say that. And wellness, of course, being a big trend among all populations of travelers. Well, let's see what the travelers themselves have said. So here, there's different priorities, as we've seen. And again, sort of harkening back to the last slide about the idea of Seoul as a luxury destination, we don't find the availability of luxury outlets here. What we do have are very similar, cultural and city and outdoors, which are all things that I think Korea can lean on and can justifiably lean on. Some other notes that the general population is also interested in the nightlife. I think that part of this has to do with sort of the younger the younger demographic that makes up the Gen Pop traveler. And luxury shopping was also low for each category, running about a quarter of each. So this is another area that Seoul and South Korea can sort of inform the American public about. And I think our final question. What are your barriers to traveling in destinations in East Asia? The region broadly, not just South Korea. Interesting. Language barriers, okay. Distance, yeah, it's far, guys. Definitely an unfamiliarity, comfort zone, all rank. Yeah, these make a lot of sense. Let's see what the Americans think. For the Gen Pop, too expensive. Clearly, I mean, you know, as much as they want to luxury travel, money is going to be a larger barrier for them. Language barriers, though, is high, and I think that the perception of how well Koreans speak English and people in East Asia in general speak English, yeah, I think that that's something that can be sort of advertised more. Distance, of course, and outside comfort zone and too stressful to plan. I like that these are up here because these are areas in which travel providers and suppliers can also serve as sort of vital advisors to these travelers to find connections to their everyday life and ways in which it's really not out of their comfort zone. And of course, helping out with the planning process. The high net worth travelers are more likely also to say that the food is unappealing, which I know Seoul particularly is a great food city. So I think that this is another important area of information, particularly as one of the burgeoning cultural touchstones in the United States is the rise in popularity of Korean cuisine. So I think that this is one way in which Korea can lean on to kind of garner more interest. And some notes from other data that we did take is that travelers to East Asia, they generally feel informed about what each surveyed country in particular has to offer, but South Korea did lag in this knowledge. So I think really the takeaway is that South Korea has a lot to offer and a lot of stories to tell, and these are stories that need to be heard by the American traveling public. Because I think that there is a lot to offer, and really they just need to know. So thank you very much. I'd like to turn it over to Sam, if I may.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I think we can all agree that that has been some very interesting analysts, and we'll give them a big round of applause. Thank you, Mike. Thank you once again. And also, thank you to everyone else for participating today so far. But it's not over yet. We're going to ask for some more from you today, now. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Sam, and I'm the Business Development Manager here at Connections. So, with all this research in mind, we want to dive a little deeper and gather more insight from you, our luxury professionals. It's fair to say Seoul is having a moment. The city is experiencing increasing demand from luxury travelers worldwide as they look to destinations less explored. So as you can see, you are currently sat in pairs with buyer and supplier. Half of you are experts in Korean luxury product, and the other half experts in the needs of your luxury clientele. So, on your tables, you'll see 2 questions, if you see them now. One is a set for buyers, and another set for suppliers. So, first of all, in your pairs, we would like you to discuss the buyer questions. So, for this, you'll have 5 minutes to answer the buyer question and consolidate a simple answer underneath each question. Now, during this whole period of time, can we please ask the buyers in your pairs to write and consolidate the notes? So, here's an example of consolidating a simple answer to your question. So the question, does your perception of Seoul differ from your experiences so far? The answer, yes, it's been easier to navigate and communicate than I thought. So, to summarize, in the first 5 minutes, you will work in pairs to answer the buyer question. After 5 minutes, you will then have another 5 minutes to answer the supplier question in your pairs. After this, we'll pick on a few groups to give a quick 30-second summary of your answers to everyone here, so we can have some really interesting and valuable insights today. So, with that, if everyone is ready, can I please ask you to start answering the buyer questions now? Thank you.
Over to you. 30 seconds starts now.
Okay, for me, and because of the company and where my clients are for, I would say that who are the high net worth individuals trying to Seoul, for me, will be corporate, mainly. For what reason would you recommend Seoul than another fast East Asian destination? I would say K-pop and K-food. And also for what do you struggle most by selling Seoul? I guess that is knowledge of the country. So, that's it.
Perfect. A great start from Ennio. So who's going to be our next person to come up? Is anyone? I think we should do it up here. It's more fun. Come on. Perfect. Over to you, Natalie.
Okay. Who are the high net worth individuals traveling to Seoul? They are looking for culture, luxury experiences, and they are foodies. For what reason would you recommend Seoul above another Far East Asian destination? It's safe, very safe, and it's very clean, friendly, and it's a great luxury destination. What do you struggle with most when selling Seoul? I think communicating that it is safe. That's a big thing for Americans. They're very concerned about being so close to North Korea. Language barriers are not difficult. I've had amazing...
Thanks, Natalie. That made you a little bit jump. That was good. Okay, can I ask for any... Okay, we've got Iko. Iko, I'm bringing it over to you because it's quite a way back here. Oh, we're coming to you first, Canon.
Yeah,
Over to you.
hi.
30 seconds.
Who are the high net worth individuals traveling to Seoul? What are the motivations of traveling? So young people who are in K-pop, who are into K-pop shows, and also people who are into cherry blossom. Now this Korea is becoming more popular. For what reason you recommend Seoul? It's a direct flight, it's luxury as well as affordable compared to Japan when I'm talking. What do you struggle with most selling Seoul? Language and vegetarian food.
Thank you. That was perfect. I think you made it just in time. That was quite harsh. So we're going to go to Iko, but after Iko, I'd like to ask if we could have a local supplier to give us their thoughts. So, Iko?
Oh, I'm not the local supplier.
No, after you. So 30 seconds, Iko, starts now.
Who are the high net worth individuals? We thought there were previously people that visited Southeast Asia, trendsetter, couples, no families between the age of 35 to 55. What are the reasons I would recommend? Safe, COVID is well under control. It's a new destination, it has an interesting culture, and has a great connectivity to visit and explore the Pacific. Lastly, what you struggle? Lack of knowledge of activities, like you don't know what to offer to clients.
I think that was perfectly timed, Iko. You're a professional. You've done that before, I think. So can I ask any local suppliers to give us their side of the story? Otherwise, I'm going to go to people I know, like Blair. Okay, Blair, I'm choosing you. I'm coming over. Don't kill me, please. 30 seconds, Blair.
Here. Oh, why me? Okay. Oh my God, scoring. So out of the experience you can provide in Seoul, which one is the most compelling to the international visitors? Seoul has a full of outdoor experiences like hiking, biking, or in the wellness-based activities like a temple stay or meditation. And what changes you haven't seen in the demographic of the visitors coming to Seoul? I've seen guests from South America, although we don't have the direct connections. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you, Blair. Okay, so luckily for the rest of you, that's all we've got time for. So I just wanted to say thank you again to Mike of Mintel for taking the time to travel all the way here from Chicago. So if we could have a round of applause once again for Mike for pulling that. So Mike's going to be with us for the rest of the program, so if you have any questions about the presentation, he'd be delighted to hear from you. Also, he is still, and Mintel is still pulling some Korea-specific research, and we're going to publish that after the event. Okay, so do look out for that. I think that would be interesting for everyone here. So please can I ask everyone to refer to their agenda, 12 o'clock, match, and then we'll take the bus. Thank you.